All right. Well, let's just kind of dive in. I mean, first off, how are you? How you going? How's things going?
Good, busy, but things are great.
I
Cannot
know.
complain.
I hear you. So I just as we get started, I just kind of want to remind everyone, we're Enhanced AI. We help businesses implement AI. As AI consultants, you can also use our tool and product called Flux Prompt, which has all the LMSs in one place. You can daisy chain them together to create AI workflows that work, pretty sticky in your business and actually say, hey, let's stop talking about AI and use it. We talked last week, Nick, and I know you saw this. We spoke with Chad Jardine
Yep.
from CMO Zen, and he kind of gave us what he's doing with AI in his consultant business, but really kind of from a high level strategy type approach. So as a fractional CMO, like how do I build battle cards, or how do I make this strategy for go to market or market positioning just a little bit more sound? Now, what's kind of cool is today we're actually going to take like what those strategies could be and how do we even fulfill on it, or just examples of fulfillment, which is what all in advertising does. It's why we use you guys personally, but hundreds of other people use it. Like, you guys are doing big things, and it's awesome. And I want to dive into that. So we went from high level. Now we're going to drill down to the weeds and kind of fulfillment execution type items. Nick, kind of introduce yourself. Tell us about you. Tell us about All In Advertising, what they do, and then let's kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nick Roberto, I'm a senior account manager here at All in Advertising. We've been around for the last couple years. It is a combination of a bunch of people we all used to work with together at different agencies, and we started that off. Started bringing around people that we know that had really good experience in their certain fields, but from our standpoint on the digital marketing side, we handle everything from SEO to paid media to web development, email marketing, conversion rate optimization. So we are a full service. We are a smaller team, but it gives us the ability to really spend time a lot of the times, especially on the account management side, to get to know these partnerships, be an extension of their team. And that's really from a digital marketing agency where we all came from and wanted to create, is really be a partner and get involved outside of just your website and ads and things like that, like the business itself. How can we help grow? So a little quick intro
Mm.
there, but that's pretty much what we do.
Now, just in clear disclaimer. I mean, like I said, we use you guys. We have a lot of respect for what you're doing, and people in your team as well, like Heidi, Luke, Jordan, even your owner John. Just to kind of shout them out a bit and the hard work that they do. But from what I understand, I mean, I was kind of talking a little bit with you, but also with John, is so much of your guys' business comes from referrals and word of mouth, not so much organic. And it's not that you guys don't need to be pushing organic. It's just that if you do really good work, people talk about it and people want to use you guys. I mean, kind of how's that been going?
Yeah, the really the referral business is one of the biggest parts of how we, gain new clientele. A lot of it comes from, potentially people I haven't talked to in a few years, and we make that connection on LinkedIn. A lot of it does come from our current clients being happy and knowing, other people within their industry that could use the same thing. Even brothers and sisters. I have one client who referred their brother that has a somewhat similar company, but we're doing work for them as well. So, yeah, it's funny from a digital marketing agency how much like we haven't been, getting those clients from leads, but a lot of it is referral based, just based on happy clients and supporting us and wanting us to grow as well.
So even just outside of the kind of value prop that's that kind of work ethic and speaks to that. I mean, what would you say that your agency does, whether that's what kind of your personal touch is that kind of helps you guys stand out from the rest?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of it actually really just comes down to really caring for the clients. And I know a lot of people say that, But when we're talking about the lifeblood of a company and they are putting everything in our hands to basically make or break a business, it does
Mhm.
mean a lot. So in some other bigger agencies, it feels more tasks to be done for X, Y, and Z client, whatever it might be. We
Absolutely.
really try to get involved outside of just their marketing. We have a couple clients even now that we started talking more on retention based. Digital
Mm,
marketing agencies typically don't dive into, what are your clients doing? So we got you this lead. What happened to it? Where did it go? Are they returning client? Are they referring clients? Like, we want to dive into the deeper part of the business and really be that partnership. So
mm,
I truly think from our side, that's the biggest differentiator. We do actually fully care what happens with our clients. They're not a task or a number to be done on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I want to be that
okay.
extension of their team.
Gotcha. So let's just kind of drill into that a little bit. Now, the personal touch that you guys put on this, and the referrals that you're getting, I mean, there's obviously growth opportunity everywhere. There's ways for you guys to scale,
Yep.
and it's going to be super cool to see you guys take this journey and ride this roller coaster even with you. But um, you can't just scale like crazy. You can't just
Right.
chuck people at problems. You can't chuck money at problems. You can't do any of that. So how has AI kind of come into play as far as like solving or at least being a potential solution for stuff like that?
Yeah. Uh, it has absolutely been a asset to us because we are a lean company and we still want that personal touch, but with a growth and scaling, sometimes you do have to throw people in there. With AI, we're still able to have that smaller lean team that has that personal touch, but we're getting things done quicker from a work standpoint and still, having that human interaction, having that touch to make sure it's where it needs to be. But even if it's 60, 70% there, and our team from a human perspective has to tweak it, it saves us extremely amount of time and it's able to keep us um, interacting with the clients and having that personal touch, but not spending hours on some of these fulfillment tasks. So saving hours on fulfillment tasks gives us more time to talk to the client and do different things. Also, with SEO in general, like AI is starting to create search results. This is new. It's gone off. It's come back on. It's not going away. It's going to be a big part of how things are happening, especially in the SEO world. So being up to par and utilizing it for our clients because we know it's not going away is exactly what we're trying to do with enhanced AI. And you guys have done a great job at keeping us going and being able to make changes. I think that's the biggest thing. Like if you use certain models or certain AI, you kind of get exactly what you get. There's not a lot of customization. And
Right.
with like some of the flows we're going to show today, like I can tweak anything I want. If I don't like what it put out, I can go back and make changes within tone of voice or how it's presented or how the output happens.
Right.
And that's exactly what we need.
So let's just, I guess, dive into that a little bit. I mean, as far as your agency goes and digital marketing and all the things in there, I mean, would you say SEO is just kind of like one of the problems that you have had that you're looking to solve, as one of many? I mean, kind of walk me through that, and then if you would, just kind of show us and share a screen of maybe what you've done to address that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the starting point for us as an agency was SEO because of the fulfillment, the deliverables. They just take more time and more understanding of what you're trying to achieve. This is absolutely going to grow into paid media and conversion rate optimization.
Yeah.
We do utilize things with you guys as well for email marketing. So it's going to grow, but bulk of our clientele is SEO, and that's really our bread and butter from a knowledge base standpoint. So that was our first goal is diving into how we can accomplish exactly what we want at the end of the day for our clients, but save some time. And that's really what we want to do. So Yeah, I can absolutely dive into a couple of these flows. Let me share my screen and we'll go through it. And Vince, you let me know if this is going to be super hard to see. I tried to make this a little bit bigger, and I'll zoom in and out.
Yeah, yeah, do that. That's fine. No, it looks good.
So the starting point, biggest thing from an SEO standpoint, a lot of the times is content. So obviously, really, when we started working together, our first goal was seeing what we can do with content and AI, how it's going to help us just save some time. So I'm going to take you through a couple different flows, but it's all for the end goal of a blog creation. And we've utilized this for different things. Service page content, things of that nature. But a lot of what we talk about within the SEO realm and clientele is blog creation to help them rank, help get more information out there. So the first one that I'm showing here, this is going to be associated to topics. So this is a blog topic creation tool. So if I come down here, and I'm using you guys as an example in this case, what we look at is a web crawl. So this first off the bat is just a web crawl, having AI look at it, get an idea of what the company does, and it pushes us out into this output that gives us an overview understanding of the company itself. I will make a side note on this. When we're crawling things and using AI, it's very tied into how Google is indexing pages. So,
Okay.
on a side note to this actual flow, this can be super useful to have AI crawl a page and give this output and see what they see as the topics, what they see what this company is about.
Mm,
So if
yeah.
I create content for a homepage for one of our clients and I let AI just in general trying to see, hey, we created this content, we have everything. I want you to tell me what you think this company is about. If that is not tied to like what we wanted it to be, it does give us an idea of okay, we need to relook at how we're positioning this content in this company in a branding standpoint because AI is probably going to look at this very similar how Google is indexing the page. So that's a side note. I just wanted to bring that up because it is extremely useful. So
Yeah.
in this case, we did enhanced AI. We have our output here, and then within the output, it's nicely organized what you guys do and what you're focusing on from a service and industry standpoint. So as I go over here, what we'll look at then is we take this text, and this is very automated. I'm just going through it one by one just to make it
Sure.
easier.
Yeah.
Uh, so it takes this text, puts it in the text box here. We can also give instructions for, again, this is blog content topics. This can also be tied just to have topics within service pages as well. But in this text right here, we have, do not give blog topics that have two broken up titles. This is one thing I see a lot with AI is it will give a main topic, a colon, or something like that, and then additional topic. In this case, when we were creating these, we really wanted it to flow into like one sentence or question or topic.
So why would a blog topic like that be problematic?
It depends. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes, again, when we're looking at SEO and how Google's indexing it, that's not how people talk. And Google, with these regular and more updates to be customer facing and how you and I would read something or how you and I would write something,
Mm,
we want the Google to see like this is normally how you and I would read something
gotcha.
or write something. So that's why we had that in here. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I don't want it in there. In this case, when we were doing these content topics, I didn't want it in there.
Makes sense. Okay.
So as I run this flow and go up here, it will give us this output that has this one had 20. So these are 20 based on it scraping the site, seeing what the company is about, us giving these directions. It then gives us this output of 20 blog topics that we could potentially use. Um, the other thing that is great is we have these different instructions. I know in this one I had given it instructions and we tied it into here, but when I was talking earlier about the customization, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If I say don't include a specific keyword or don't include this topic, most of the time it will not include it, which is exactly what I want. So off the bat, I've taken 10 minutes to talk about it. Realistically, this took me 30 seconds to get to this point where I have 10 blog topics that I can do some additional research and make sure that it's associated to the brand and what they're
Mm.
offering. But overall, I have 20 topics that in theory, most of the time, I'm doing Google research. I'm using SEMrush, Ahrefs, Search Console to see what queries they are getting impressions for. Like this process just right now has already saved me time to get 20 blogs that I could potentially use.
Gotcha. Okay.
The final step on this one, so most of the time we would take this is your content topics. The other thing that I added in this one, and mainly just wanted to see an outline. So for this one, I said, give me an outline for the first blog article, which is leveraging AI for sales automation, boost revenue with enhanced AI. It's going to give me a layout or an outline of how we could take this and basically write it ourselves if we wanted to.
Interesting. Okay.
Obviously, with AI, we're going to that next step within this flow. And I did want to also say all of this, I have these flows broken out just so I could explain them a little bit better. Also,
Mm.
I like to have a little bit more control on the output and then put it into the next part. But you and I have run flows from the very beginning to this all the way to the content creation itself, all in one flow, and you just hit run flow and it kind of does its own thing. For
Gotcha.
this example, I just broke it out.
Okay.
So this one, so this is our content brief generator. So typically with a content brief, and I have an example right here. Typically with a content brief, what we're looking for overall is, of course, we have our title here. We're looking at specific keywords that we want to target within this blog. We have article recommendations. So with this one, this will search, it will look at the top organic rankings for our topic and then give us recommendation on average word count, images,
Well,
headers, and links. This is really
okay.
important to look at what Google's favoring from a length standpoint, images and things like that. It gives us a baseline of what Google likes.
Getcha. Okay. Cool.
Then we get into keyword topics, which is very associated to the keywords themselves, but these keyword topics are expansions typically, or what people are actually typing and writing about. We get into some FAQ content, and then our example outline, which we set up in HTML, which is H1, H2, H3, and so forth.
Okay.
So let me go back here real quick. And this flow is definitely a little bit bigger. But so say I take my blog topic from the previous topic creation, I put it in here. Most of the time for this flow, I am hitting run flow because we've had this set up pretty well and it's going through that process. You'll see I have additional examples down here. So like we were talking about before, where I can customize this and add things into it. I know what this example outline I want it to look like, similar to what I
Mm.
just showed. I want it to be topics and average appearances per result. I want that in the output. Same thing with the example outline. I want it in this format. So I'm already giving the flow a structure of what I want the output to look like through these examples.
So it looks like once your AI workflow is built, like you created this whole thing. Once it's done, you really just need to put a couple inputs in, like you said, like what's that topic, and then you can just run it. You don't have to recreate this every single time.
No, no, exactly. And this took a little bit of time to set up, but realistically, you make tweaks, you get a foundation, you run it. It takes 2 minutes. You see what the output is, and you make tweaks to make it work from what you want. From a now that it's set up where we want it, I take that content topic that I would like. I'm putting it in here. I'm running this flow. It takes about 2 minutes, and I'm getting the output I want.
Mm.
That is the process that we've tweak things to get them to where they want to go.
Gotcha.
So I will also say, if you have not used Fluxroom, I know this looks like kind of chaos. It is actually super user friendly. Like it's not that bad. When I first started working with you guys and you were showing me these flows, I was like, dude, I don't want to touch anything. I am scared to break
Yeah,
something. And it really hasn't been that bad. Yes, there's somewhat of a small learning curve, but
yeah.
it's not bad.
No, I
So
mean,
once,
like what you built is super cool. I mean, so I am wondering
yeah,
with what you just said, which was like, hey, here's the output that I want. I don't know if you meant to say this is just where my mind went, but there's two outputs, right? The one that you want and then the one that you need. And so the one that you need is this full, robust article with all this perfect stuff in it, and it's just ready to go to market. You don't even have to think about it. But kind of what Chad was walking us through last week was that's just not realistic. I mean, that's not realistic for a human to do it first try. That's not realistic for AI to do it first try either. Now, AI can probably get it further ahead because of its automation and other power and its knowledge base it can pull from. But the one that you want is kind of what you alluded to a little bit, which is what he was saying and what you were saying at the first. That's a lot of us and saying and connecting dots here. But like the human intelligence part of artificial intelligence is still key. So like
yeah,
getting 80% of the way there, I mean, no CEO is going to be like, boo, you cut 80% of time or costs, like, boo.
yeah.
Like the fact that you are now saving this, now you have to put the human touch to it. I mean, just this workflow itself, which looks crazy and audacious, but you're saying that, like, hey, once it's set up, it works. Now I can do this. I mean, that sounds pretty great. I mean, would you kind of agree with what Chad was saying about the HI versus AI kind of approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that and this is again somewhat of why I have these broken out into different segments because it will get me 80% just from me setting this up and putting in that one input.
Mm,
My team and myself then take that output and make those tweaks that this AI does not know this customer, where their focus is, everything like that. I
yeah,
do. So tweaking it and making it to that 100%, but I'm saving 80% of my time is huge. Like, for example, one of our clients, we're doing about 5 content pieces a month.
yeah,
Realistically, between my involvement, our copywriter, the development team, things of that nature, we're talking about those 5 pieces taking about 10 to 12 hours of
mhm,
human work. If we are running this through the Flux prompt flows, we're talking about an output and edits about 2.5 hours, which is vastly
wow,
different. So
wow.
yeah, like that, what you're talking about and speaking to, like that 80% is realistically what I'm seeing. Like I know you kind of threw out a number there, but that's exactly about what I'm seeing from an fulfillment timeline and my timeline as well.
I'm super good at math, Nick. That's it's
I
you
know.
know, it's just what I just know it. I'm basically a Rain Man with a hat.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously, that's how you're going to scale and grow. Not to speak for your agency, but even us, like at Enhanced AI, any other company I've ever helped or I've heard of, I have friends at, family, etc. Like, if you're going to scale, you got to find ways to not chuck money at things or people at things. You got to find a way to be more efficient. You got to find a way to be more cost effective, right?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like, I mean, if you're getting quote unquote 80% of the way there, like that's one huge freaking solution.
It is. It is absolutely massive, and we've done, especially when we started working. I would do this process, and I would have our copywriter do it without any review. Her not seeing this at all,
Yeah.
and I would break those out. And realistically, they're pretty spot on. By the time I got 80% there and made the tweaks that I would have made, our 2 briefs were pretty much looking exactly the same, and that was the goal. So like for us, that is proven that it's working. If I can do this myself and our copywriter can do it, now spending more time, but we're getting the same end result, and I'm saving 80% of time, that's more time that I can spend on the phone with the client or diving into something different with the client. Like that's where this is super important.
So, I mean, thanks for walking me through it. I love this. I kind of geek out on stuff like this because I think it's important for anyone who's business savvy or business minded just to
Yep.
be aware of this kind of stuff. I mean, there's so many solutions on the market. Not that Flux Prompt isn't just one of many, but the fact that people are using a tool in AI like this to be more intelligent, to work smarter, like it's a big deal. And I think it's a big deal, especially like what you said. AI is not going away. It's here. Like even when I do a simple Google search, it's there. And I kind of like it. I like seeing the first one and be like, oh, okay, let me just educate myself and move on. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's awesome. Thanks for showing us this. I mean, you're creating a content brief, you're creating basically SEO articles,
Mhm.
you're cutting hours significantly down. So, I mean, if I'm a company out there, or an individual, or a consultant, freelancer, whatever, I obviously can come to Flux Prompt and build this myself. Or it sounds like I can just go to All In Advertising because you guys have kind of created some secret sauce that you can leverage for anyone and everyone.
Yeah, and absolutely. We definitely can help out. I know you guys can help out. The other thing is this is one of, I don't know, probably a couple million different ways to use this tool. We are down in the fulfillment talking about creating a content brief, but this is way bigger and has way more uses than this what we're doing. And this will grow even within our agency on the fulfillment side of what we're trying to accomplish, or keyword research side. There's just so many other tie-ins that can be utilized for it.
Yeah.
Uh, the last one that I just wanted to go through real quick, if you don't mind, is the act. So that last part was that content brief creation. Excuse me, itself. The final process that you and I go through and talk about is the final process, or the final article itself. And this is the biggest flow that you and I had taken time to build and gone through. But we take that content brief that I was talking about here, and we take it over to our content creation flow, and it goes through this relatively quick as well. It pulls out every one of those sections that I talked about into these nodes here. We also can put in branding and how we want to write, the style of writing the brand
Mhm.
itself.
Okay.
And then basically at the end of this flow itself, it's pushing out an output that we take and do some copywriting edits or focus, things like that. Um, the
So
other
you're
thing
putting
that,
your output bolded and with the right H tag, like all of that?
yeah, so this end process, and I just took this, copied and pasted into here, and this is exactly what it's looking at, because it's following that HTML, or that outline of H1, H2, H3, body paragraph, and
Yeah.
it all pushes out into this,
Wow.
which
Super.
is
Okay.
formatting wise exactly what we want. The content is typically spot on. Yes, we have to make, obviously some edits for our specific client,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think this one is close to 2,500 words that we just pushed out in a couple minutes.
Wow.
The other thing that's really nice about this flow that also ties in is we can do, I typically run these both at the same time, but we can do thumbnails for the blog itself. So
Oh,
it will take that outline that I created, and it will use it into creating a thumbnail for a blog.
so can you scroll in just a little bit on
Yep.
that image prompt?
Yep.
Looks like you're saying create a blog image. Here's a look and feel. Exclude
Yep.
words and symbols. I mean, if I don't know any better, I'm looking at this image. I'm guessing it's just AI related. Like
True.
as far as the topic in the article is concerned.
Yeah. So again, this is AI focused content, but we can put in. So the subject that it's pulling from here is from that content brief. So it's taking that entire content brief, putting it in here. Our prompt is just saying how we want this displayed. But as you go down here as well, you can do environment, tone, view. Like we can do, angle of view from top down, from side, whatever it might be. So this has been really useful. I Some people like their internal designer to create a blog and have some overlay text, but a lot of times I've also created these images, and then they add the overlay text that they'd like to see, and we kind of go on from there. So this has been a huge help just in general. Of I not only now have a image that goes along with the blog because it's pulling from the content brief. I now have a full 2,000, 2,500 page article that's 80% of the way there. And now all I have to do is take those two things, put them together, make my edits, and then implement it on the site.
Wow. Okay. And then you're also not bothering a Fiverr or a contractor or a designer to go
No,
create
our
thumbnails.
designers, yeah, it leaves
Right.
our designers more
Yeah.
time to work on, email marketing, work on web development on an actual site that is more tied to, conversion rate optimization. Like we
Wow.
do A/B testing with different elements and different images on the site. That's where I want my designers' time to be.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when we're talking about a blog thumbnail that they push out to social and you have on the blog, I would say 90% of the time I can get something that's there with using that image generator.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for showing us, Nick. Like,
Absolutely.
I didn't know that you could use it like even in this way. You're right. There's a million ways to use it. We have customers using it in sales operations, marketing operations, HR operations, dev acceleration. I mean, everywhere. Like, I don't even know what some of our people are using it for. Like, so to see it like this, it's really cool. Again, thanks for showing us. Now, there are a couple questions that people have written in. We can just ask you just real quick. So Will Fraser asks, how has using Flux Prompt made you more efficient in your day-to-day work?
Yeah, it goes back to just the efficiency of what would take me a lot of time from a keyword research, a topic standpoint, to then have our copywriter or somebody on the fulfillment team create that full content brief with topic, keywords, outline, FAQ content. So that by itself is a couple hours, and then just taking that content brief and writing it by itself is probably another hour, and then some back and forth on the edits, of course. But
Mm,
it has been extremely beneficial from that standpoint of streamlining exactly what we need at the end of the day.
awesome. So Stephen Haynes just wrote in, so AI seems to have such a great benefit when used well in the content space. So what are you hearing from peers or partners on how they're thinking about AI in their business? So there's that, and then he's kind of asking like, is there hesitation? Is there a fear that it'll be seen as AI driven versus human driven? Like, kind of what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so this is interesting because the bigger algorithm update in March did highlight this pretty spot on. So the bigger update in March on the SEO front in Google was a spam update. And this
And
wasn't tied to like AI spam at all. It was just there's so much content out there talking about the same thing that we need to make sure that it's up to date, accurate, and everything like that. But they did note in there AI driven content is unique content, and if it is accurate and gives the user an answer and serves the proper purpose, that there is no fault of that.
okay,
The AI driven content is still being indexed and still usable, but I will say uh, 80% there. That human touch on a piece of content is super important to make sure that it is speaking to things accurately, and at the end of the day, that's leading into getting indexed properly. There is from an agencies and not even mine, just across the board, there is definitely some hesitations because we don't know exactly where it's going to go and how Google's going to treat it. But from everything that we've done from in these updates from an algorithm change, they are not faulting AI content at all.
okay, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um, I'll just say if there's any other questions here in the chat. I mean, it looks good. Thanks for walking us again. I think I said this 4 times, but for real, Nick, thanks for walking
absolutely.
us through this. Thanks for being on with me today. Thanks for showing people how you guys are using AI, every day, all the time. I mean, I can't wait to see what else your agency does with AI. I mean, you're right, it's growing, and use cases come out all the time. I'm like, people are doing that. Like, how did they even think to do that? Like, it's been pretty awesome. So, any other AI words of advice that you'd probably give out to anyone thinking about potentially, or how do I even get started in putting AI in my business?
Yeah, we talked about earlier, it's not going anywhere, and start to embrace it. Start to try to learn how to utilize it within whatever industry you are, because there are always going to be applications to streamline things and make your life a little bit easier. So, our agency as a whole has embraced it because you have to. It's not going anywhere, and
Nice.
it can be really good. I would say, version one probably not the best, but we've made leaps and bounds over last 3 months, let alone 6 9 months. That I think that's my biggest thing is just embrace it and learn how to use it to help you out. It's just like Google. Like you can Google anything and figure it out. Uh, Utilize the AI in the exact same way. Try to use it, see how it can work for you. But overall, just embrace it because we're all going to have to.
Love it. Okay, so for any agencies out there watching this, you're behind. If you're not using this like the way All In Advertising is using it, you are behind. Like use it like that, guys. Thanks again, Nick, for coming on. Thanks for walking us through this. I love it.
Absolutely.
And then we'll catch again soon. Next week's episode, we'll be talking with Impact Networking, how they're using it in HR and employee operations, which is going to be super, super cool. Again, a big thanks to Chad last week. A big thanks to you, Nick, and All In Advertising this week.
Yes.
Can't wait to showcase more AI in business. So see you
Perfect.
next time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Vince. I appreciate it.
Okay, man. We'll talk soon.
All right.